Hello and welcome to the Preserving History and Democracy podcast. My name is Caroline Zamora and I'm the Chief Deputy County Clerk. And we have a very exciting and special episode today. We are taking the podcast on tour this week. And I just want to go ahead and take a moment to say that we are in the state archives at the Gary Carruthers State Library at the State Archives here in Santa Fe. We're very excited. And I just want to go ahead and introduce our special guest today. And I want to start with Elena. Can you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and your full name?
I'm Elena Perez-Lozano. I am the Archives Bureau Chief for the State Archives of New Mexico. I started here as an archivist 11 years ago, and I still do archivist functions, but I also supervise our two lovely archivists that we have.
And then Johnathan.
Hi, I'm Johnathan Pringle, the Archives Division Director. I've been in this role for about 2 years, just over 2 years now. And so I get to work with 4 amazing colleagues, one of whom is Elena here. And I supervise Elena and Margarita, our amazing archive secretary. And we just have a great team here, and they all just make my job super easy.
Love. And then also to my left is our amazing extraordinaire recording and filing supervisor, Angelica Valenzuela. And let's be honest, Angelica, I just do whatever you tell me to do.
I appreciate that. No.
So Angelica, I know this is like a special episode for us. We've been talking about this and we kind of just made it happen. And I'm really excited that we're here today.
Me too. Yeah. Me too. It's like we have a little 2-part series. Taking our podcast on the road.
Yeah, we're on tour this week.
And I'm excited that we have our friends from the State Archives Center here. And we're going to talk about records that they house here, records that we have here from our county, and some interesting things.
Yes. So let's jump right in. People here, okay, state archives. What does that mean?
So every state has a state archives, and the function of the state archives is to preserve the records of state government. So we have governor's records, we have agency records, and we also have private collections. So those are collections that families or organizations have donated, and they help to make our collections more robust so they can complement each other sometimes. Like if you have the private papers of a senator and then you have his official, say he became governor, you then have his governor's papers so you can see his or her trajectory, projection. So it makes it a more complete record of that person's life.
And I would also add to that and say that the private collections are really complementary to the public collections, because when you only have the perspective of the state government, you're kind of missing important voices that are at the other receiving end of the functions of that state government. So these private collections often tell us a lot about how people were integrating into activities or being part of the functions of government and what their relationship is to those activities.
So you have, I didn't realize that you all had private collections, so that's fun. Mm-hmm. So you have private collections. Where else do you get your collections from?
So the normal flow of records that we get are from our records center. So our records center is another part of the State Records Center and Archives on the other end of our building. And they have a space twice the size of our vault that houses records that have not yet met retention. And one of those retention decisions can be that they're labeled permanent. So once they've met retention and are labeled as permanent, that's archives, and so those records would come to us. So that's probably the most natural flow of records that we get from all types of different agencies.
There's something called the records retention life cycle. So as records make their way through that life cycle, they're in active use and they're held in the state agency, and then they become less used and they have more of a
semi-active.
A
semi-active record is like it's no longer actively being used by that agency, but there are certain requirements that they need to retain those for various reasons. And so they might refer to them every once in a while, but they just need to be retained for a period of time.
And then once they're semi-active, they move to a more permanent status, and at that point, they come to the archives. So they met so not all records meet or have permanent retention. And you would refer to the NMAC, which is the Mexico Administrative Code, and also the FERDS, which I forgot the acronym for, but it'll tell you for a specific record what that retention is. So it makes it very easy to know what to receive and what to expect.
Very good. Yes, we look at that as well whenever we're doing our retention, our annually. So every year we have a retention, and even if, for example, our business records, they have a 10-year retention, but every year we're getting rid of, that 11th year.
And I think an important reason why we have these very structured schedules is that it prevents us from being accused of being subjective or not preserving a certain part of the history of our state. It sort of safeguards our position as we are just preserving these records, and we haven't made very specific decisions that would maybe be perceived as being subjective in that decision making. Unlike private collections, which can often come with some degree of subjectivity because you're making choices and decisions about what you want to collect in here. So it's a balancing act sometimes with that decision making process.
So I can tell you, I know when we started talking about this, Angelica was telling me that you wanted to come up to the state archives because we have kind of a gap in our records in Doña County. And that's because we know that one of the clerks at some point sent a lot of documents up to you all, and we're talking documents from like the 1800s. And so that's kind of one of the reasons that we also wanted to be here. And that I know you got to come yesterday and dig around and find did you find anything you really enjoyed yesterday?
I was on a mission to get as much as I could. So I tried not to read every single thing that I picked up, which is so hard when you're dealing with
And when you
archives.
say you were getting stuff, what can you tell our listeners what that means?
Yeah, so I did request way too many records to look at. There was no way that I was going to be able to look at them all, but I did put in a request to the Archive Center and made an appointment to come in and look at some specific records that I knew were here for Doña County Clerk's Office from the 1800s. And we did an episode a little bit about our historic boxes.
Yep, we have our Boxes Project.
Our Boxes Project, and we kind of call it Holding History in Our Hands. And it's a miscellaneous group of documents that we weren't sure what was in there. And so we've recently taken the time to go through them, and we realized, okay, there's some holes. Where could these be? And one of those was our coroner's records, and those are numbered, right? And so we can tell which ones were missing, and a lot of the early ones were missing from our records. So at some point, probably the clerk, they were probably in different areas of our vault at the time. And so the clerk that sent the oldest here, it didn't send
It's like
the full collection.
them, yeah.
Yeah, so there were some holes. I wanted to see what you all had. And yeah, there was definitely some. I talked about earlier that we saw a coroner's report where the poor person, the coroner's jury found that the person came to his death by a bull. The bull butted him, and the bull had, they said it had blood on his forehead and his nose, and so they're sure that that's how
the evidence was on the bull?
The evidence was on the bull. Yes. So, and we also looked at old business records. So although business registrations have a retention, sometimes
We still have them.
we still have them, yeah, from different periods. Maybe the clerk at the time decided not to follow the retention. I don't know how that came about, but we have some from the 30s, from the 20s, and then some older ones. And so I came here and I saw that on our list there was some business licenses applications. And yeah, they look exactly like what we have in our records. And so there was some, we took photos of those as well.
Nice.
Yes. I wanted to look at the book of brands that we have. We have one book. I think we have book number 2. And so we know book number 1, and I think book number 3 is here.
Okay.
And so, yes, I didn't have time, but maybe we'll make another trip.
Yeah, we'll come back.
So there's definitely some Doña County Clerk records.
You're making a really important point, though, is that researchers sometimes think that we have all of the things related to everything
In the state.
In the state. And so we rely on our county partners to help us with redirects that we might make for patrons and say, oh, actually, that's going to be something that's going to be at Doña Ana County directly. And here's their contact information. I don't know, Elena, if you would agree, but I'd say 50% of our requests usually end up just being referrals to somewhere else because we just don't
Possibly,
have.
yeah. We don't have everything. And generally for counties, the cutoff is statehood, which is 1912. So there are a few records here and there, but for the most part, they end about statehood.
And even if our patrons don't fully understand that, we will still, field the question. We'll have the inquiry. It's something from well beyond statehood. We'll be like, well, here's where the limitations are of what we have, but here's where you go next. There's these amazing people down in Doña Ana County that will be ready to help you. So,
Love.
And a question we get, and do you have the stats on it? The size of our collections? Any interesting factoids about how large our collection
I
is?
do. They may be a little out of date.
Because our collections grow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we saw your vault. It's huge.
It can hold 44,000 cubic feet.
It was
of
like 6
material.
miles, I think is what your
Oh,
archivist told
Dina,
us.
yeah.
Yeah.
She's got the stats.
For our state and territorial collections, which includes Doña Ana, is 25,000 linear feet.
Wow.
We asked you all to pull some of your favorite things. Let's jump in and start talking about that.
Okay.
Who wants to start?
Well, maybe.
We don't have them in front of us. It's easier to,
Well, I do have this here.
but he can start.
Yeah, I can start. And I think something that the viewers and listeners will be interested in knowing is just temporally how old some of our records are. I think Dina mentioned that we have something in the 1500s. She mentioned what that was specifically. But our collections really begin at Spanish presence here in New Mexico, so 1598 through 1821, and then we became a Mexican territory for 20 years, and then we became a part of the American Union in 1846. Yeah, it was a couple of years there for a period of time. And so we have records that kind of go that whole spans up till present. And I think it's also important to emphasize that not only are records physical in nature, but because archives are representative of the activities of records creators, it also represents electronic records. So entities that are creating records electronically, now we have to preserve those and find ways of making sure that those are accessible equally as easily as the physical records. So it's always an important distinction to make.
Yeah, thank you for that.
But on the vein of my favorite document going back to the Pueblo Revolt of 1680, we had a donation of a collector who had found, I don't even know the backstory of how Martin Gardesky had this document, but
I'm not sure.
it was donated to us. I think it was just donated. I don't believe it was purchased. But we have the original journal from the governor of New Mexico, Antonin de Oterman. Right, his journal from a couple of days before the actual uprising. And so this is, in this folder, this is just reproductions of those original documents. But if you were to see the original, this is, beautiful paper. It's an exercise in the quality of paper production at the time as well. It holds up so much better, and the pigments are much more well preserved than on mass-produced paper that you have today. So it's a really interesting document for a lot of different reasons, but this one has been transcribed numerous times. This is an earlier translation, but this is again from 2 days before the actual uprising. Let's see. Concerning the Christian Indians from all this kingdom who are banding together and forming an alliance and confederacy for an uprising, denying all obedience, apostatizing the holy faith, and wishing to kill the ministers of God, and all the Spaniards, women, and children of this kingdom. Said treachery and uprising must take place on the 13th of this current month, as they have plotted and determined among them. So,
Wow.
a really powerful document that you have to sort of imagine, how did this survive because of all those documents that were destroyed in the ensuing aftermath with the Pueblo Revolt, and then when the Spanish came back in 1692, that's where you see stronger records, is that point of time afterwards, because anything before was largely destroyed, and I still don't quite fully understand how this transported all the way down somewhere to be preserved for as long as it has been. So, but we're just so fortunate to have it. So that's probably my favorite document when I started here.
Understandably so.
Yes.
Well, because the Pueblo
That's
Revolt,
amazing.
it speaks volumes to the history of our state and where we are today. You know, populations converging and learning to coexist with one another, violence.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just a really mind-boggling part of our history, but it really, I think, speaks to our state and who we are today. We're a fairly resilient population,
Yes.
despite some very real challenges here.
And this is from, you all have a vault within the vault, and this is inside that. It's really, you said it's probably one of the most secure rooms in the state.
only a handful of people have access to that room.
Yeah.
And it's got its own temperature and relative humidity and its own fire suppression system, so that that is the safest place for any records to be in the state of New Mexico, I say. But, prove me wrong.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it.
Yeah, we do.
I mean, we have, the fire suppression and temperature control, but we don't have the security.
I know
'Cause we
you all have some
public records.
impressive, they are, yep. You all have like impressive security for
Yes.
sure.
Margarita does a great job too.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's like, oh no, you got to put your stuff in the locker.
And one of the most interesting things I have is actually on the table. So
Sounds good. You want to bring it over?
Should I bring it over?
Yeah,
Okay.
please do.
So this is missing some context. This is all we have. This is obviously a criminal court record, actually from Doña County, from 1875, and all we have is this schematic of a murder scene. So there's a person,
A body?
on the floor with blood around its head, and it looks like people are trying to figure out if it's a bar or
I know.
some
I'm like,
sort of
I want to
house.
assume it's a bar because there's a barrel over here. This
Yeah.
looks like a bar, like a bar
Counter,
counter, bar
yeah.
top. Like it looks like
Maybe
a bar
bed-
to me.
like
Exactly.
a bedroom or something, because that looks like a bed,
Yeah.
table, and chairs. But so it's missing context because we don't know who it is, who the parties were involved, what the case number is. All we have is that it was an exhibit in a criminal case, and it was registered as part of an exhibit by the county clerk in August of 1875. I can't quite read the date.
August 24th, it
24th.
looks like.
Yeah.
August 24th,
So if any of your
1875.
viewers or listeners know what this is, we take suggestions.
Yeah. Now, what I'm fascinated by is the material that it's on. Now, what is this again?
This is vellum.
Vellum.
So it's a paper that is imbued, I guess, with wax to make it more stable. So it has some flexibility, and it's more. It was used quite often, I think, more for maps and architectural plans. In this case, it was used to draw this
Crime scene?
crime scene. Yeah, I guess you could call that.
Now, what's
Here,
so interesting about it is that, I mean, it looks like it's fabric, like it's fraying on the
It looks,
edges.
yeah, because you can see that it's fraying. And it was cut unevenly.
And
Or
that-
maybe it just tore over time.
Yeah. And yes, some of our maps look like this. So you can tell that this is the paper that they used, which makes me feel like it's official, right? It must have been, it's not just something that someone had laying around and said, let me draw this for you real quick.
And actually, I found this in that we have miscellaneous, each county has like a miscellaneous records box, which is usually the first box of the collection. Actually, it was in territorial district court. So for county records, there's two types of collections that we have. We have county records, which are like clerks, tax assessors, probate, coroners, county commissioners, those type of records. And then the other type is the territorial district court. So all the criminal and civil cases up to about 1912, sometimes a little farther. So that's the other component. So this is actually from the Territorial District Court for Donna Anna, but unfortunately we don't have any other additional information.
But it's very cool.
Yeah, so actually I found this in the first box of the Territorial District Court records, just folded up. So what I did is I asked our, who was previously our state historian, now our state records administrator, Dr. Hendricks. He actually was interested in this as well, but unfortunately couldn't provide any more context than what we could see. But what I did is it was folded up, so I flattened it gently, and I encapsulated it in Mylar. So Mylar it's like archival plastic.
Yeah, archival quality plastic.
Yeah, is what it
almost sounds like
yeah.
an oxymoron, but
Yeah. But it helps with use and wear, and for fragile documents, it helps to encase them so they have a stable base for more permanent preservation.
and
Keeps
people
them
can
flat.
touch it.
So yeah,
And
so
people can touch it.
so you might be able to see this when we put the pictures online, but you can see it's actually like it is encased. It's
Yeah.
enclosed. Yeah.
Well, only on 3 sides.
Got it.
'Cause we
So
want
if
it
you ever
off
need to
gas.
remove it, you can easily.
Yeah, if
And this is archival
yeah,
quality
archival
tape.
Yeah,
Which is also
okay.
an oxymoron.
and some people might not know, but well, why don't we laminate documents? Because that seems to be something that would keep a document for a very long time. But
And that was actually done in the past.
it was.
It
But
was
then
considered a preservation quality standard.
then they found out that by trapping basically that document and its acidic nature, because paper is highly acidic, it was actually speeding up the degradation of the document. So you need to leave a little bit of a corner that's open so that the document can off gas.
It's also encased, so there's no way to get the
Original.
off. It was
And when's the last time
pretty much
somebody
ruined.
laminated something?
Well, the Library
Yeah.
of Congress used to do it, apparently. Right?
Oh,
Like in the
interesting.
50s. Yeah,
So you have more documents for us. What else do you have here?
we do. This one is, let's see. This one is from Santa Fe Criminal District Court. This we have the full context for. This is a person who was charged with aiding a prisoner to escape, and he was caught in the act, I suppose. And so part of the exhibit of the case are the tools that he used to help the prisoner escape. So this is the lock pick, or lock
like a
file.
Yeah, file.
Yeah, lock file. And I believe this is the lock, or part of the handle.
Oh,
And then we have the different types of files that were used. And I guess these are larger
and so
ones.
this person was helping people,
helping.
and he had a whole system going on.
Yeah. And it's quite documented quite extensively.
And so these are kind of
Yeah, this-
saying what?
This is also an example of Mylar. So these are Mylar sheets.
Okay.
So these are a
This
little
is what we
fragile.
use.
So it makes it easier for when a person wants to look at this case. It makes it easier for handling. These have also been digitized as well.
I think this is also an example of an inmate ratting out some other folks in a sort of a confession.
Yeah, I believe so,
Yeah, it's a very interesting read. If you can read traditional handwriting, which is actually a lost art now, to be able to read cursive handwriting.
I just found this line. It
Yes.
says, "For God's sakes, try to get me some tobacco."
Yeah,
Yep.
Oh,
it's like I'm giving you this info. You need to do this for me.
wow. My daughter, my kids are familiar with our records and have come in and looked at our things.
Your daughter
over the
interned with
years.
us.
And she did an intern. She did a summer internship with the schools. And so she's got to look at some things. And she says, I can't read cursive. And I said, you'll never be able to work here. And I'm like, I can't believe you guys can't read. I mean, mean, she can read a little, but
It is actually kind of interesting. The new
it's so interesting that
graduates
they
that are
don't.
coming out of the programs who their formal education doesn't necessarily include cursive writing.
Yeah.
So it can be a stumbling or a learning curve.
This is probably one of my favorite finds from today. This, if you can see, Cynthia, is from what did we say?
1868.
1868. These are the voter rolls from 1868. They're incredibly beautiful. The penmanship is fantastic. This one specifically is from precinct number 5.
And our precincts change.
Yes.
So precinct number 5 today is not going to be
not.
precinct number 5
No
in
way.
the 1800s.
Not at all. But it's quite beautiful. It's written in Spanish. Again, New Mexico did not become a state till 1912. And so this is one of them. And we're going to show you another document in here as well. I want to grab me that next precinct.
This is precinct number 8.
All right. Precinct number 8. I love that it's on blue paper. And I'm going to go ahead and open this here. And again, this is the voter roll. And so it's in alphabetical order. You can actually go through and see all the names. Of course, many Spanish. It's all in Spanish. Beautiful names, beautiful penmanship. I'm looking at Janice, who's our Bureau of Elections supervisor. And Janice, in your tenure, when did we still had like actual printed voter rolls, right?
Well, we used to print them out on like that old paper that had the tear off.
The dot matrix.
matrix.
Yeah,
Dot
dot
matrix,
matrix, green
yeah.
bar.
Yeah, and so Janice is saying that we used to actually still do our voter rolls. I mean, this is, within the last 20 years on that dot matrix paper. And so technology has come a long way, but not too off from what they were doing in the 1800s. Let's see
And
what
now
else we
people
have.
are signing a signature pad.
Now we signed a signature pad. Yep.
Precinct number 3.
All right. What I love is that each precinct is a little bit different. One, it's on different paper, but also the way that they were doing the list is a little bit different. So you can see this one goes on up. And this one, they actually numbered them all in some of them. And then I think they also have them alphabetically, it looks
Yeah,
like.
that's not
I can't tell.
alphabetical.
This one's not alphabetical, right?
No, it's by
Yeah,
number.
the last two were
by
alphabetical.
number.
Yeah, so this
So
one's
they're
by
all
number.
certainly different.
They're all a little bit different, which I love. And so each precinct must have had like a boss of the precinct, like a precinct chair or something like that. And that,
Well, it's a
so,
judge,
or a
probably.
judge or something like that.
Writing, or are they different signatures?
They're different.
They're different.
So it was the signature roster.
The signature roster.
Wow.
That's good to know.
Yeah. So this one was, I think, one of my favorite finds from today. I'm just kind of looking at the signature roster and the voter roll, as we can call it. Very fun. Angelica, anything else?
We have some old voting records as well in our little historic box. Voting records have a pretty strict retention as well, and so how these documents lasted
survived, yeah.
and survived is amazing. We even have I think it was a sample ballot because it's huge. It's a huge ballot from 1900s. And so I'm assuming it was probably a sample ballot, maybe posted at the voting
Posted somewhere.
location.
Yeah.
So it's amazing.
Yes.
I wish we could keep everything, always. We have a saying that today's documents are tomorrow's history.
Yep.
Exactly.
That's exactly right. And another important distinction, much in line with the governor's journal from 1680, is that the quality of paper at this period of time is also quite good. And so the reason that it's probably looking as nice as it does is that it doesn't have the same problematic acidic nature that more commercial paper production, particularly in the middle of the 20th century, really exploded. And so that you're sort of seeing a poor quality of paper.
Okay.
And so that requires different types of interventions, maybe photocopying things onto acid-free paper so that those documents last a little bit longer. Because in many ways, the information itself is more important than the carrier of that information. But nice to be able to preserve both at the same time.
Yes, we have some documents that look like they're disappearing, like the writing is disappearing. And so, yeah, to capture that information first is really important.
So what do you all love about your jobs?
Well, for me, I love that it's a job that allows me to learn about something that maybe not a lot of people know about. One of my professors in school, when I went to grad school, would say that being an archivist makes you a really amazing dinner guest because you can mention really unusual factoids that you've learned or gleaned from being maybe the only person who has seen that information since that person that made it passed away, or that the material was discovered again. So it's always that sense of adventure. I'm somebody that likes puzzles, so I like putting puzzles together, and so this is sort of just putting history together with whatever history is left behind for us. And so there's something really rewarding about that. I also like working with really great people, and I'm just so lucky to have a great group of people that are also equally passionate about what they do, and that makes my job really fun.
And for me, I learn something new every day. I love the process of discovery, learning about new records, processing records, or reprocessing sometimes, working with the patrons because we're open for reference 3 days a week, working with them on their journey. They may have an idea. They may think they know what they're looking for, but then they find their trajectory changes, and they find something completely different, and it takes them on a whole new tangent of what they're started with in the first place. So it's a process for sure.
We see that happen all the time.
Yes, so do we. And with ours, we're not as secure. And so sometimes I'll walk into the vault to check on a researcher, and they have multiple books open, and I'm like, we're only supposed to look at one book at a time. They're like, I know, but now I find that, I need to look over here. And yes, that happens all the time.
And I think
I love it.
I can't underscore enough about what Elena was talking about, the reference experience. So people that come in to do research, they can often be so excited about something that they've discovered, that they've been looking for a very long time. It can be emotional sometimes. It can be really profound that they've been able to make this discovery. And so to be a part of that is just such a treat. Oh my gosh, that just makes it worth it.
Yes.
So what's so interesting is the room we're recording in, this is the genealogy room. And so what's interesting about this room is in the corner behind us, in that direction, is all kind of the old genealogy information. And I know here is the microfilm is here also in these cabinets?
Yeah.
Yes. And so we have a video of one of the podcasts I think we did from the Archives Bazaar. And it was so beautiful. Like this individual found, I think, one of like their great-great-grandfather in one of the books that you had pulled for that event.
Well, I had taken a laptop.
Okay.
And we have all of our marriage records searchable online. And so, we have our table set up, and someone came over and I asked, is there a marriage record that you want to look up, see if we have it? And so, yes, she was looking up her grandparents, I believe.
Yeah.
And she got emotional because as soon as the image loaded, she was very emotional, and that was amazing to be a part of.
Yeah, it's just very fun to be a part of.
Yes.
We get to, in our office, we have a saying that, we get to be involved in a lot of these really fun moments, whether it's like recording your business license, your business registration, recording the deed to your house, your marriage license, or casting a ballot. And we get to be like a really small part of these really big moments for people, but it's very fun that we get to do that.
Yeah. Very relatable.
Yeah. Yes. Angelica,
Is there anything else that we didn't cover that you guys really, really want to let the public know?
Well, probably just research appointments. If they want to come and visit with us, they can.
You all are a small team, by the way. Can we? How many are on your team?
We have five of us. So.
Two archivists.
Two archivists working here.
Yeah.
And so, blows my mind because you all are, supporting the entire state. And so I think it's important to let the public know to please make an appointment
Yes.
if you want to come in and get your assistance on
Yeah.
anything. Yeah.
So appointments, we take appointments Tuesdays through Thursdays, 10 to 1, and we're flexible if somebody's coming from further away. So we understand that we can be, we can work with them on that. And we do have the two senior archivists, and we also have Elena, who is for all intents and purposes another archivist that we have. So we do have three that fill requests. And if we can't meet with you in person, ever since the pandemic, right? Remember the pandemic?
Remember that?
Yeah. So you learn a lot through something like that. And what we learned is that we can actually do quite a bit of support remotely for our patrons. And so ever since the pandemic, we've seen a fairly notable uptick in remote requests, which we spend maybe at most an hour with folks on and respond to them remotely and provide them access to what they're looking for. If it requires something more, then we might encourage them to find a researcher for hire, which we can provide a list of those folks. But we do an excellent job with the remote requests, and we've seen a pretty notable decline in the in-person requests because of that almost expectation that people have around finding information online. We try to be responsive to where they are.
So I could just say this has been one of like the most fun podcasts we've done.
Yes.
Yeah, this one's been really interesting. I mean, don't get me wrong, we do some cool stuff. Like we do ghost stories and things like that. But this one has been really fun. Like just getting to see some of these documents and some of these older documents.
We got to do a tour.
Yeah, we got to do a tour earlier, which was
with
very
Dina,
cool. Yeah.
with one of your archivists.
Yes. Yeah. And so that was fun.
And something I'll also make sure I emphasize is that we are the State Archives of New Mexico, and oftentimes people might forget that there are other amazing archives across the state. We work together very closely with our colleagues across the whole state and other archives, private, corporate, tribal, government, university. And that's just to the benefit and the service of our patrons, because if we don't talk with each other, then we're kind of forgetting about a whole really important group that can help fill requests that people are asking us. So we have good, solid relationships with some really amazing archives across the state. We're very fortunate.
We do have some cool archives, especially at NMSU. New Mexico
Yeah.
State University has some really fun archives that we've gotten to go in and look at. One of the most notable ones, and you all, I know you're archivists, so you will appreciate this. It was the books from the funeral homes, which were it was almost like the pre-DOH, information. And it would, how much the casket cost, how much the services were, how they died, things like that. And those I thought were some of the coolest things that we've had that I've seen. I don't know. So this has been a lot of fun, you all. Thank you for having us, and thank you for letting us kind of stop by. And,
Thanks for coming up and taking the show on the road.
Yeah, we're on tour this week. Very fun.
Yes, thank you all. It's been amazing.
So that's it for today, the Preserving History and Democracy podcast on tour this week from the State Archives. I want to thank Angelica for bringing us this episode and convincing me. She didn't have to convince me very hard to come up here and do this. Thank you to Elena and Johnathan for having us today. Very excited to be here. Thank you for the tour. Thank you for showing us these amazing documents. And be sure to follow us on all of our social media accounts. You can get this podcast wherever you listen to podcasts, Spotify, Libsyn, Apple Podcasts, all the places. And you can also watch on YouTube. We'll see you next time.